Hi there, Mark here again, and welcome to the third and final part of my build guide for the legendary Hornet rear-wheel drive buggy. We got the chassis completely finished in the last part of the build guide, so now it's time to get on with that fantastic bodywork. So here are all the parts we're going to be working with. First of all, obviously we've got the Lexan body itself, which we've got to cut out. There's also the wing that needs trimming. I've pre-cut out all the window masks that we're going to have to stick inside the Lexan body. And as you can see, I've spent a long time with a pair of scissors cutting out all of the stickers. And finally, we're going to have to put the driver's head together, paint that up, screw it onto the body, paint that up, and these are the headlights, and I think we'll need to put some black paint on the back of those. So let's get cracking. The first thing I'm going to do is get my hobby knife, and I'm just going to run along the bottom of the bodywork and just cut off all the excess polycarbonate, because it just gets in the way when you're trying to trim up to the cut lines. So just roughly score into that and pull it off, get rid of it. And now with all that plastic out the way, it's easier to get my trusty little scissors nice and close to the cut line, and I'm going to cut as close as I can. Obviously do not go over the line. You can always trim a bit more off later, but if you cut too much off, you can't stick it back on. So yeah, just steady as she goes, following that line, and obviously trim all the way around. Because it's tricky to get the scissors into these cut lines, so I'm using the score and snap method to cut out the wing. So very carefully as you go with the knife along those lines. And you have to be really careful when you go around these tiny little curves in the corners. So, like I say, go really slowly. You don't have to press on too hard. I don't know if you can actually see this, but yeah, I've scored most of the way around now. A little tip is just to cut into the corners slightly, so up to that cut line, and hopefully now we should be able to bend and tear this. More success tearing it than bending it, actually. But yeah, that's looking quite good. As I said, the tight corners are the trickiest bits, but it looks okay. But overall, I'm pretty happy with that. Well, that's all the cutting out done, and yeah, I'm quite pleased with it really, but some of these lines aren't that straight. They're a little bit wavy, but I don't know what you guys do, but I always rub down all the cut edges of my bodies just to smooth them off and give that kind of a bit more polished finish, shall we say. What I tend to use are these. This is like an emery board. I think it's used for filing nails down with, but it's really useful for doing especially straight lines like this. So I'm going to make sure I get everything smoothed off. Probably use this little file, sort of diamond file for the little curved areas. Get it all smoothed off, and when I've done that, I'm going to get it all scrubbed up and cleaned, because there's usually some residue of the release agent inside, and the paint doesn't react well to that. What I use is a dish sponge. Always use a brand new one, do not use one that's been used on dishes. And what I'll do is I'm going to use the abrasive part, the abrasive pad, with some dish soap, or washing up liquid as we call it over in the UK. I'm going to give that a good scuff up, obviously missing out the windows. Going to do exactly the same with the wing, and I'll be back in a minute and we'll get the window masks on. Well, that's all the smoothing down and cleaning out and scrubbing the inside done, and these sides do look nice and smooth now. I don't know if you can tell on the camera, but yeah, all of the lines are lovely and smooth, just how I like it. And also, I don't know if it's going to come across on camera, but if I get it in the light, you might be able to see the scuff marks on the inside of the Lexan there, where I've scrubbed it out with that pad. And I've also paid special attention to the low spots, or well, the high spots on the outside, but on the inside they're the tight spots where it's difficult to get the pad in. So I've used a stick like this and forced the pad, the abrasive pad, into those gaps, because that tends to be the kind of place where the paint doesn't stick. Okay. The wing's ready as well, and again, getting into these high spots is really important when you're cleaning it out. But now it's time to get the window masks on. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to peel a little bit off the corner of one and cut a tiny bit of the backing off. This one says the right hand side, so that's there. And I think the best thing to do is to turn it round and then use your fingers inside to line it up with the window edges itself. When I think I've got it just right, I'll just press down on that little bit at the back and hopefully the sticker will find its own place. I think that looks okay. It looks a little bit high but at the top here, but I think there's going to be a sticker that goes across here that's going to resemble a kind of a frame rail, so I don't think that matters. But yeah, just give it a good press all the way around the outsides. Doesn't really matter about the middle, it's just the outside bits that you need to make sure are fully pressed down. I'll just get on with the others off camera. You can see I've also been working on the plastic pieces that are going to go on the body. So this is the driver's head. I've stuck the two halves together. I've used some glue to try and get rid of the gaps in the plastic, and now I'm going to have to rub it down to get rid of that mould line and then get him sprayed up. I've also been working on the spotlights, so I've stuck the two halves of each one together. I've glued them and then I've put tape around to hold them tight while the glue sets. And again, I will be smoothing off the join line before I spray the back of these black. My initial plan was to go non-box art, but I've been talking to my friend Bob, my good friend Bob from Uncle Bob's RC, and he said, Mark, you've got to go box art with this one. It's a classic Tamiya, and I've thought about it. I've looked at the stickers and other colours that might go with it, and in the end I think Bob's right. I'm gonna, you know, it's such a legendary car, I'm gonna have to go box art. So it's PS5 black, off I go. Well, it's painted, but I've got to say it's not the best paint job I've ever done. It was so windy out there, there was so much dust and dirt flying around that it's all got stuck in the paint. I hope that it doesn't affect it when I take the protective coating off. And I had real trouble getting the paint to go down into this corner of the wing here, so I ended up having to kind of pull it backwards like that and try and get the paint in. I think it's okay, we'll find out now. So as I say, normally my favourite part is taking off the protective coating. So here we go. Did that dust and dirt get in? Well, luckily I don't think it did get in. That is good news. It doesn't want to come off this protective coating though. There we go. It didn't want to come off these slots here, but yeah, I think we got away with that somehow. It's looking pretty shiny, as PS5 black always does. So window masks, let's get those off. Yep, that's looking good too. Yep, she's a black beauty, all right. Oh yeah, that's come out gorgeous as well. So yeah, it's best if you do pull these open as wide as you can and get the paint in there. Yeah, jobs are good. Right, let's get rid of this mess and get on with the stickers. Right, I think we'll get the wing done first. So the first sticker, I'm going to peel a bit off the backing and stick the front of it down first. Yeah, it's very fiddly to get this lined up, I've got to say, so that this part goes straight and lines up with the edge of the wing, but I think that's about right. Yeah, find it a bit tricky to get into this edge or corner of on the wing, so you use a bit of a stick to get it stuck right in the corner there. Just folding it over and underneath the wing there. So yeah, that's the first one done. That was a bit tricky that, but yeah, it's looking okay. So I'll put the other one on. It's not completely lined up like this one is, but I don't think you'll really notice. So we'll just go for any time, baby. I think that looks about right position wise, so let's get that stuck down. Again, we've got that ridge on the wing to contend with. So again, I'll just employ my stick to get that bit in first. Yep, bit tricky again, but I think that will do. So I just made a start on the body, and it's really tricky to get these stripes lined up, and I think it's important to get this one on first, the lower number, so this is number 2. Get that in the best as you can get it lined up with the kind of wheel arch here, and this moulding, this lump at the back, and that bit folds over. And now we've got to get this sticker, which is number 3, and I think that's going to overlap this one, and it's going to fold over the top there, and then we've got to get it lined up at the front. So yeah, quite a tricky job. I think I'm going to line it up at the back here so I can get this interlocking bit done, and then we'll worry about this piece afterwards. So I'm going to press this bit down, hopefully we'll be somewhere near. Put a bit of heat on that because it doesn't want to stick. That's got it. Okay, now this hopefully will find its own way down to the front as we peel off. Actually, I'm going to cut this halfway through. We are pretty much spot on, I think. That was lucky. But yes, I know for the tricky bit at the back. And then number 14 goes over this moulding, so I think we'll just get the top stuck on first. That's a tricky sucker, that one is. So yeah, again I think I need a little bit of heat on that, it might go. Again, not perfect, but it does look okay. So for these bars, cut a thin strip off the inside and stick the inside on first, is what I found is the easiest way. So yeah, if you get the inside stuck on first, and then peel the rest off and fold it round. The stick does help get in the corners. There you go. I've roughly painted the driver a body figure there, and I've sprayed the helmet. As you can see, I've done the black detailing. Now just going to do the dude's face. Getting there. I find these paint pens really good for doing the little details. Really fine 0.7mm tipped paint pen. So here she is, finally finished, a stock Tamiya Hornet in glorious body art. What do you think, guys? Do you think I should have done the metallic blue? I don't know, I'm quite pleased I've gone with this because those stripes against that black background, they do look fantastic, I've got to say. You can see I've mounted the lights on the front, it's just one screw from the inside of the body. Painted the backs black. The wings just 2 screws straight onto the body itself. So there's the screw holding the driver figure in. You can see, but I did put a spacer between the top of his helmet and the underside of the body because it was just looking ridiculous with it right up underneath that roof of the car there. So yeah, that's a little tip to drop him down a little bit, looks a bit more realistic, I think. As usual, overall, I think it took twice as long, maybe longer, to do the bodywork than it did to do the whole chassis. But if you know me, I love doing my bodywork, and yeah, I just took my time over it and just enjoyed the process. So there you go, I've just got to transform this for the Poor Boys RC Speedrun Challenge now, but I will be returning it back to stock when it's finished. Well, if it's still in one piece, that is, but I won't be using this gorgeous body. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video, thanks for following along, and I hope to see you on the next one. Bye!